Hello dear students, welcome back to ZD's English tutorial. In this video, I am going to explain the last two stanzas of the poem An Elementary School Classroom by Stephen Spender. Dear students, in my last video, I had already discussed the beginning two stanzas. If you haven't yet watched that video, you can watch it by clicking on the link above. Now, I would like to begin this video from the last two lines of the second stanza, which are a narrow street sealed in with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, caps and stars upwards. The last two lines of the second stanza. Yes. A narrow street sealed in with a lit sky, far, far from rivers, caps and stars upwards. Because these two lines were left out in my first video. Earlier, the poet talked about children's future painted with a fog, if you remember, meaning the future of those children in the elementary school classroom was very uncertain. They had a very bleak future. The poet continued to say that the children in the elementary school classroom in Slum also lived in a place where the streets are full of narrow streets. The place where they lived in had very narrow streets under a lit sky. The sky overhead was also not the normal blue sky, but a very unclear and dark sky. They are far away from the beauty of nature, far, far from rivers, caps and stars upwards, which means they were also deprived of the bounties of nature, like rivers, caps and stars upwards. Now, moving on to the third stanza of the poem. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example. The poet says that Shakespeare is wicked and the map, which was hung on the walls of the classroom, was a bad example. Now, why does the poet say that Shakespeare is wicked and the map a bad example? Definitely Shakespeare is not bad. He was the world famous dramatist the world has ever produced. But what the poet wants to say is that Shakespeare was irrelevant for those children. Shakespeare's work was beyond their comprehension, and they also didn't have easy access to the world literature or the works of Shakespeare. So from that point of view, Shakespeare is wicked. Shakespeare is meaningless. Shakespeare is out of place for their lives. And the map is also a bad example because the map didn't show their congested narrow place. It was a map of a different world, which was very much in contrast to the life of the slum children. The map represented a world of progress and prosperity, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. The ships, the sun and love which were displayed on the map symbolize prosperity and progress of a nation. But the world of the children was a different world, which was one of very miserable and full of poverty. The things painted on the wall and the luxurious things which were also to be found on the map were not available to the slum children. So the map was a kind of hypocrisy for them. Since the children didn't have experience of these things in their practical life, they felt tempted to steal the map. So surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal, for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. This is important, from fog to endless night. What does the poet want to say? They lived in a very cramped place. Cramped means without having sufficient space very narrow, congested place. They are living under such a situation. And their whole life is an endless misery, from fog to endless night. They are living in such a state where there is no hope of improvement in the standard of their living, as if their life is an endless sorrows and sufferings. On their slag heaps, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass like bottle bits and stones. And slag heap, on their slag heap means heap of things, piles of waste things, unwanted things. It refers to the very unhygienic and very dirty place, dirty surroundings in which those children lived. These children were skins peeped through by bones. Those children were very skinny and bony because their skins were very much visible from their skins. And the spectacles of steel with mended glass. They were wearing spectacles which were made of broken glasses. Mended means repaired glasses. Those glasses were discarded by some rich people maybe, and they had made their spectacles out of those broken repaired glass, like bottle bits and stones, as if they were pieces of broken glasses, bottle bits and stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum. So blot their maps with a slum as big as dome. So all their time and space means everything, the whole of their life, the entire life are very deplorable, very miserable. Everything is very miserable in their life. Everything is uncertain. Their whole time and space are foggy slum. So this serves a blot. It has made a blot on the map with slums as big as destruction. Doom means destruction. So the whole stanza gives us an impression of the kind of life which the children in that elementary school classroom in a slum were living. A very pathetic, a very miserable life, full of poverty. Now moving on to the third stanza, the poet has made an appeal to the powerful, influential people to help the lot of those children, to help improve the situation and bridge the huge disparity between the rich and the poor. Unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs break open till they break the town. The poet requests or appeals to the people in power or the influential people or the authority like governor, inspector, visitor to visit their places and make their life also a life which is expected from any rich people. The map which was shown in the classroom, the things which were displayed on the map, all kinds of civility, that maps should also belong to them. A similar kind of life also should be a reality in their life. This map becomes their window, and these windows means the surroundings, the environment where the children were living, that shut upon their lives like catacombs, as if they are living like catacombs in underground gallery, in underground tunnel. It brings to our eyes a very poor picture of the living standard. So they must be brought out of that squalor. The children's life should also be improved. Break open till they break the town. Let us break this difficult life of those children, and otherwise they will break the town. They will revolt and show the children green fields, The children should also be allowed to move freely in the green fields, which symbolize prosperity, and they should also be taken to the blue sky, under the blue sky, azure, and make their world run azure. Their world should also be a world full of green things. They should also be allowed to run on sunny golden beaches and run azure on gold sands. They should be allowed to run on sunny golden beaches. Golden sands means golden beaches. And let their tongues run naked into books. Let their tongues run naked into books, the white and green leaves. They should also be allowed to study the pages of books and run on green fields, green leaves. History theirs whose language is the sun. The last line means that only the people whose language possesses the warmth of the sun can create history. If their life is to be improved, they must also possess the strength of the sun in their language. And in this way, the poet makes an appeal to the powerful and influential people to help the living standard of those children who were very poor and who were living in a very dirty and unhygienic condition. So this is all about Stephen Spencer's poem, An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. I hope this video will help you to understand the poem, and it will contribute in your understanding of the overall message of the poem also. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.